Welcome to another Unwinding with Fiber and Fabric and Tour de Fleece 2025. You will see I have quite a bit of color and fiber here in front of me, because now that we are down to the last week of Tour de Fleece, although we do have another week of Tour de Fleece Femmes, now that we are down to this last bit, in essence, we've passed the halfway mark of the entire event, past the halfway mark of spinning through this month of July. I thought it would be good to have an episode that addresses an issue I have a tendency to run into. I'm not sure all the participants run into this issue, but it is a situation that tends to crop up when I spin Tour de Fleece. So, just a little recap. Tour de Fleece is an international event of spinners, whether we're spinning with spinning wheels, e-spinners, or drop spindles, or supported spindles, or any kind of spindle for that matter. We spend the days that follow, that correlate with the Tour de France, the cycling race. We spend these days spinning. Some of us chat on Ravelry, some chat on Discord, and some chat on Facebook. And I'm sure there's some other ways in which people are chatting virtually through social media. There are also groups and teams that get together to spin in fiber shops, in community centers, in backyards throughout the world. And so it is a major international event. From what I understand from some of the people commenting, they actually managed to get one of the commentators for the Tour de France to actually mention our big Tour de Fleece event this year, which was a goal of one of the participants. It sounds like she really has been trying to get them to mention that we're out here spinning in support of the cyclists. Now, Tour de Fleece has grown over the decade, 2 decades since it was formed. It has grown, it has expanded, and a lot of the spinners don't really participate in the Tour de France part, but there are some diehards that really enjoy the race itself as we spin. Regardless of how we spin or the motivation behind it, Tour de Fleece is a wonderful time in which we can get together and spin. And while some people get a little confused and think that it's a competition for us, from my research, it doesn't sound like there was ever any real competition between teams, although different teams have in the past have had competitions amongst themselves. It sometimes gets confused with another event that we used to have, which was called Spinzilla, in which case we did, as teams, compete against each other to see who could spin the most in a 1 week time. That was usually in October. So, Tour de Fleece is an event in which we spin. Some of us are spinning in support of the cyclists. Some are spinning in support of just their own groups, their local fiber guilds, their local yarn stores, and some are just spinning, as I like to call, rogue, out on their own, just using this as a wonderful time to challenge themselves. And yes, we do encourage that we have challenge days during Tour de Fleece. The challenge is one that we want to take for ourselves. Challenge ourselves to do something maybe that's outside of our comfort zone, or in my case, this year, my second challenge day, I challenged myself to spin a fluffy, squishy, 9 wraps per inch yarn. That was my challenge. Years ago, oh, I have an airplane going over. Years ago, I made a number of sweaters for my family. And almost all of the yarn that I spun for those sweaters was in this 9 wraps per inch worsted weight type yarn. This is a woolen spun. It is fluffy, it's squishy, it's only 2-ply, and while years ago I was able to do that quite easily, over time my spinning has moved, as many of us find, to a finer, thinner spin. And I wanted to challenge myself to make a big, floofy yarn. So I achieved it. It was so hard. This was the fiber that I was carding in one of my videos last week. It was full of shortcuts. It was full of neps, and it was all I could do to leave them in to create a rustic, nubby, squishy, slightly uneven fiber. And you might ask, well, why? Well, I'll tell you why. One, the fleece would have taken a great deal of time for me to comb to remove all those short bits. And I would have had a lot of combing waste that I could have used carded together, but then I would have even just had lots of little short bits. And while I had done, where is it? That's exactly what I did with my Shetland. I combed it and I had a lot of short little tiny bits. But it just was not something that the combing waste was not something that I was going to be able to use as a carded fiber. Instead, it will be used as stuffing for little toys in the future. There were just so many little short bits. There were just so many little neps. And while this was perfectly wonderful to spend all that time and effort to get clean and combed, in the end, I didn't want to do that with this fiber. This is a CVM. It had been separated out and sent to my son in a stash that I sent years ago. And because it was separated from its main body of fiber, I didn't want to go and see if I had leftovers of any of the actual individual sheep. I just wanted to get it destashed. So I blended together two different bags, much like what I have right here, 2 bread bags of fiber. I blended it together. I carded it with my hand cards. I first of all carded it with a drum carder, and I just didn't like that prep at all. So I carded it with my hand cards, and then I decided I wanted to spin it thick, fluffy, squishy, leaving in all those little tiny bits, because it's wonderful, it's rustic, and it'll be fabulous in a project that I don't mind at all if it pills, if it gets a little worn looking. The sweaters that I made now all those years ago, they are wonderful, and I love them to death. I love the way they're being used, and I don't have any problem with the slubbiness. I don't have any problem with the fact that they sometimes get little neps on them, little bumps. I really did like those sweaters. So I now have a little skein of fluffy yarn that I can use for a project that does not need to be refined and pristine. So that was my challenge, to challenge this time, not to see how thin I could spin, but to see how thick I could spin. One of the things that happens as we get better and better with our spinning, or spin more and more, we tend to go thin, and we really do have to work hard to go thick. So that was my challenge. Now, the dilemma I now face is that we are only now just half a week away from the end of Tour de Fleece. And yes, I have a full week of Tour de Fleece Femmes. But the only fiber that I haven't spun is this. And this is a CVM blended with the mohair that I've been blending. And I carded it into a little pony. And I'm spinning it on 3 bobbins. Let's see if I can get that out. 3 bobbins in order to have a traditional 3-ply. They're spinning thin, they're spinning fine, and I want to see what happens when I ply these as a traditional 3-ply to see what gauge of yarn, to see what how many wraps per inch this 3-ply is going to produce. The CVM and the kid mohair that I've been using this Tour de Fleece really loves spinning fine. This specific CVM did not have as many short cuts and bits as the one that I was dealing with here. And so when I blended it, I put it through the drum carder to get everything nice and aligned. Then I blended it on my blending board with the kid mohair, and it is spinning beautifully fine. Not probably as fine as it would be if I had combed the CVM to begin with, but pretty close. There is very, very little short bit or debris in my CVM. My mohair, it has been mill processed, and it is combed top, and it does still have vegetable matter, and I believe the little goat that produced this did have a little bit of a dander issue, and there are some chunks of larger pieces of flaky skin that is still in this. And I'm perfectly fine with that, because I'd rather the fiber be under processed than over processed, because I can work with that. But this is yellow, by the way. This is some of my yellow spin that was left over, that when I was doing the dyeing of the fibers, I had more mohair than I needed for the merino that I was blending it with. So the mohair, though, it does have a little bit of vegetable matter. It does have a little bit of debris in it. And I'm just picking it out as I go. And for the most part, it is spinning up. Let me see if you can see it in front. I can't see if you can see it, but I have a feeling you can see it up against this blue. It's nice and it's fine. I'm curious to see what kind of a 3-ply I'm going to get, because I suspect that if I like the diameter, if I like the wraps per inch of this 3-ply, I'll be doing more of this CVM blended with the mohair in the future. So I have that spin up. I will most likely have the singles finished before the end of today. The video will go up. That will take a chunk of my time getting that ready, but I will sit down, I'll finish spinning that, and then it'll be just a matter of applying it. So by the time Thursday arrives, I am going to be out of prepped fiber. Now, my son still has a couple spins. He has his rainbow that he's going to chain ply. He is not going to be doing that in front of the camera. He is going to, because he really wants to make sure he gets this well spun, not overspun, not distract. He doesn't want to be distracted as he does the chain plying for this. He's been practicing. He will have fibers to share. I know that he's posted them on Ravelry, and he will be back with me probably sometime. I'm thinking, if not in some shorts this next couple days, what we may be doing is on Saturday doing a reveal of what we've spun, so that it can go out either Saturday or on Sunday. We may do the video, a video late Saturday showing what we've spun, if he finishes all his spins by Saturday, so we can share them. But he's going to be plying this off camera so he can concentrate and really try to get that rainbow to pop and stay, keep the colors clean by doing it a chain ply. So he's running out of fibers as well, but he has an extra braid that he can do next week that's prepped, so it's all good. He's on track. But I do not have prepped fiber. So today I'm trying to decide, do I blend up some of these exhausted colors? And these are all exhaust, the extra dye, from when I dyed the locks for his rainbow. So I'm trying to decide, do I want more color and spin some of those? Do I want to go ahead and card up these 3 remaining orphan bags? I recognize the name on a couple of these, and I know that I could take this one and put it back in its bucket out in storage. This one does not have a name on it, so I have no idea who it belongs to. This one does have a name, so I could put it back in its bucket as well. So I'm trying to decide, should I just go and take these back to their buckets for future spins and get them out of his stash and back into mine? That would be the sensible thing, because both of these, as I said, still have the name on them, and I know that I have a ton of these out and a ton of this out in storage, so it'd be nice to just go ahead and put this back. The reason I hesitate is because I am really looking forward to spinning this particular, this is Lone Star, and it's a good staple length, and it's so nice and smooth. I believe it's some of the fiber that he has for his, my son has for his sweater spin, and it's just really lovely. It's smooth. It's not spongy like some of the CVM can be. It's smooth. It's got a good staple length. So I'm kind of tempted to do something with this. This one doesn't have a name on it. It's not necessarily spongy, but it is definitely not as smooth as Lone Star over here. It is somewhere between the nice silky smooth and the spongy crimpy. So I could take this, and it is a really pretty gray. I do like that, and it's a pretty lock. And I could just spin from the lock. I haven't done any lock spinning, so I could do that. It wouldn't take very much. I wouldn't have to prepare this. Just get, you know, pulled from the lock. So that's an option. So I may do that. I could also take this over to the dye bath and dye it up and make it colorful. But I don't know. It could be really interesting. And maybe if it could be very interesting to see what would happen if I took this and carded it and then blended it with some of this merino. Could be interesting. Or I could just spin it from the lock. I'm not sure. So that is the dilemma that I run into almost every Tour de Fleece. We get down to the wire, we get down to the end, and I have spun all my prepared fleece. Now, every time I say that, I have spun all my prepared fleece. I've spun what I've, what I have. That is me saying I have spun what I decided to spin for Tour de Fleece. Because as you can see, I have prepared fleece. I could simply open up this little dude, this little bit of roving. I could take the compressed nature out of it, fluff it back up into a fluffy roving. And in just the time of me talking to you here in this video, I could have this prepared to spin. So I always chuckle when I say I've run out of fleece or run out of prepared fleece, because I'm not sure I am ever going to run out of fleece or run out of prepared fleece. Maybe prepared fleece, because I do have some fleece that have not been scoured. But for Tour de Fleece, my goal fibers have been spun, all except for this one. So what do you do when you have a good spinning year? And I will throw the caveat out there. I have actually missed 2 days of spinning. I have been recently suffering from a little bit of a flare-up, and my stomach has been upset. But I still have days of spinning left, because when Tour de Fleece gets underway, I really can allow myself to spin. And it's been so long since I've really been able to get into spinning and enjoyed it as much as I have enjoyed it this year. So while my body is demanding a little bit more rest, and the weather is definitely making it impossible to go outside and spin and makes it uncomfortable to do much of anything, one of the things that spinning does for me, when I'm having a flare-up, I have one of the things that I suffer with is fibromyalgia, and spinning has helped me regain mobility. I was nearly crippled by it in 2007 and 2008, and spinning has helped me regain mobility. And one of the things I've always loved about spinning is when everything else is trying to shut down, I can usually spin. And it helps. Now, last year, because of the issue I was having with my shoulder and my back, even spinning was off the table. But this year, I have finally identified what was the root cause of so much of the pain I was having. I have exercises now that are helping me combat the issue. And spinning is once again the thing I can do when I have a hard time doing much else. And right now, once again, stuff outside of my control is causing me a little bit of anxiety. So spinning is something I can control. So I've been spinning, and once again, I have reached just over the midpoint, not quite to the end of Tour de Fleece, and I'm running out of fiber. Now, I know that there are quite a number of you out there that have had to back off, have maybe even had to drop out. It is a common occurrence, and I have had to do the exact same thing in other years. This year, I'm just really grateful that spinning is something I am able to physically do because it is helping my stress a huge amount. It is a great mental health therapy. And it can also be a physical health therapy. So, do I spin color? Do I spin from the lock? Do I card some stuff up? Do I dye something else entirely? I'm not sure, but I will hopefully have, if nothing else, a short video each of the next couple days, maybe just one of the YouTube shorts, showing you what I have decided to do. But first, I must finish spinning these and ply them. So, my son should be back in at least one more of these videos. He had other things he needed to take care of today, but he is planning to be back. He has one more spin. In fact, I don't think I have access to, I think it's in his other storage bin. He has a wonderful pony spin that he's been saving for the end. We will definitely get some footage of that. Probably, I'm thinking if we can do a long video on Friday, that would be wonderful. So keep tuned, depending on the schedule, depending on how we're feeling. We should have more content with my son. And eventually, you'll see, do I go colorful? Do I go gray? Do I do a combination of both? I have to say, I'm not sure I've ever merged the prepared merino with my CVM. That could be very interesting. And the other thing, the desire to dye up some more of these braids of merino is just so intense. And my son and I have been thinking about getting out a number of the braids and dyeing up an autumn collection for him to be able to spin, or I should say blend with other fibers, an autumn collection. He is going to be spinning a lot of brown for his sweater spin, but there's nothing saying he can't take a break and spin some color. But he loves the nice rich autumn colors, so I suspect whether it is this week or maybe next week with Tour de Fleece Femmes, I suspect there'll be a dyeing day mixed in there. So stay tuned, subscribe if you haven't, hit the notification bell so that you can be notified when I put out a video. And if you're out there spinning or just cheering us on, happy unwinding with fiber and fabric. We will see you soon.